evening. I would like to call this special school board meeting of July 27th, 2021 to order. The time is 5:11. The purpose of today's meeting is to hold a public hearing to consider the adoption of the 2021-2022 tentative millage rates and the 2021-2022 tentative budgets. At this time, we request that all cellular phones be put on silent. I would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district vision to be a world-class school system. Today's agenda includes presentation on percent of increase, decrease, over rollback rate, proposed millage, budget overview, proposed FY22 tentative budget, public hearing on the tentative budget, FY 2022 tentative budget advertisements, public comments, adoption of the required local effort millage, basic discretionary millage, capital outlay millage, resolution determining revenues and millage, and resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for fiscal year 2021-2022. FY22 tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget, acceptance of the 2021 certification of taxable value, scheduling of the final budget public hearing, comments from board members, board attorney, and superintendent. I have more. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I move we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. And second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. So moved by Ms. Gittens and seconded by Ms. Vaughn. And please record your vote. And I don't see, okay, so could we please take a hand vote then?
In and out.
Because I don't see, it is, oh, thank you. Please record your vote. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Has everybody voted?
I did. Sorry. That was long.
Ms. Thomas, do you see? I don't see it.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much. I will now turn the meeting over to Dr. Ken Savage, Superintendent, Dr. Amy Desimore, Chief Financial Officer, and Ms. Kelly Letcher, Director of Budget. Dr. Savage?
Thank you, Chair Jordan. Just before I introduce Dr. Desimore, I just have to acknowledge that to produce nearly $2 billion consolidated annual budget is such a remarkable undertaking for an organization of our size. It requires all years worth of work to deeply understand every facet of the organization, how all the pieces work together to facilitate input from all the different departments throughout our massive enterprise. No one really can ever say that you best understand an organization's priorities through the analysis of its budget, and its budget staff truly can speak to every facet of our organization through this type of work. So just a tremendous debt of gratitude to Dr. Desimore, to Kelly Letcher, and to all of your staff for the tremendous work and excellent competence to put all this together. We're in very good hands. With that said, I will turn things over to Dr. Desimore.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Savage and members of the board. This hearing is the first of 2 public hearings required under the Florida statutes to give the public an opportunity to provide input into the proposed millage levy and the budget for this fiscal year. The superintendent submitted his proposed tentative budget to you on July 22nd. This hearing was advertised in the news press on July 23rd, and the second and final budget public hearing by your approval will be held on Wednesday, September 8th at 5:05 here in this building, and the notice of that meeting to the public will be through a direct mailing from the property appraiser's office. That mailed document is known as the Truth in Millage Notice or TRIM Notice and is sent as required by law. That being said, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Letcher, who will give you all of the details related to our fiscal year 2022 tentative budget.
Thank you.
As outlined in trim requirements, first we must discuss the millage rollback rate. The rollback rate is the millage which, when applied to the current year's tax roll, net of adjustments for growth, would produce the same dollars as received in the previous year. Current year's calculated rollback rate is 5.7125, and this year's proposed millage rate is 5.891. The new millage rate is a decrease of 0.167 mils from the previous year's millage rate. It is a 3.12% increase over the rollback rate, and it is the required local effort portion of that, which is the one that you are required to levy, is 62% of the total millage. There's a little bit of history on our tax roll and our rollback rates, and currently our tax roll rate is about $104.8 billion, which is an 8.49% increase over FY21's. When you do a millage comparison, you can see that the required local effort millage is at 3.643. That includes a 0.001 prior year adjustment, which is an adjustment that is made when we don't get the amount that they thought we should the year prior to when it was generated. That is a decrease of 0.167 from our previous year. The discretionary millage is a 0.748. That is a set amount that we millage every year, as well as our capital mills at 1.5. The total mills that we will be asking you to approve is 5.891 mills. If you look at our millage comparison from year to year, you can see that the millage rates are decreasing. And as we've spoke to in the past, that is as the millage rate, as the tax roll increases, the millage rate will decrease. So as you can see in this slide, the tax rate is increasing. And then when you go back to the previous slide, with that same increase, the millage rate will decrease. So what does this mean to our taxpayers? So a taxpayer who had a house that was valued at about $100,000, with the tax increase of 8.49%, their new net value would be $108,490. When that applied to the new millage rate would actually cost them an additional $33.31. So you can see we've done this based on different amounts. We also did it based on a person whose home is homesteaded and has Save Our Homes on it, which only allows a 3% tax increase every year. So someone in that scenario would have a $100,000 home with a 3% would be $103,000, and then they would only see applied to our new tax rate a $5.15 increase. So this is the millage amounts that we are asking you to approve tonight, and the amount that to be raised by them. The required local effort millage will generate us $456,164. Our discretionary millage of 0.748 will generate us $75 million. And our 1.5 capital outlay millage will generate $150.9 million, for a total of $592.6 million, which is a $30.9 million increase over last year's. The tentative budget that we're asking you to approve tonight is set at general funds at $987.9 million, the debt service at $91.8 million, the capital at $525.6 million, special revenue grants portion at $52.1 million, special revenue food service at $63.2, internal service at $155.6, for a total of $1.9 billion. So as you all know, we've spoke about this before, but this is basically for the general public so that they understand. Each one of our funds is earmarked for a specific purpose, and we have to follow those rules when using those dollars. Our general fund dollars is our basic dollars that we use for the education of our students and operating expenses of the district. Our debt service is used to pay the debt back for building our schools when we do a COPS or something. And the capital is used to build our schools, to buy equipment, and provide maintenance and safety items for our schools. Food service supports breakfast and lunch for all of our students at the schools. Our special revenue federal funds comes in from federal grants that have a specific purpose for them, and the funds have to be used for that earmarked purpose. And then our internal service funds accounts for all of our self-insurance costs. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about each of our funds. The general fund, of course, is our major source of revenue. It is at $98.79 million, or 53% of our budget. It supports the over 96,000 students in our district, and just some of the initiatives that we're doing, definitely not all of our initiatives, but some of them are reading initiatives at the elementary level. We are continuing the additional 30 minutes for some of our targeted schools, and we've increased our ESOL supports into schools to help our English language learners. So I want to talk a little bit about the Florida Education Finance Program, which is known as the FEFP, and that's how our dollars are generated. In order to participate in the Florida Education Program, you must levy the required local effort portion of the taxes, and in doing so, that allows us $333 million of state funding. Right now, the second calculation is generating $774.7 million for us. It's an $11.2 million increase over the previous year. However, it is a 1.31% decrease in funding. I do want to point out that one of the reasons that it is showing as a decrease in funding is because of the governor's executive order, where he basically held us harmless, and it generated $14.2 million for us last year, even though our FTE dropped. So when looking at it side by side, when you have a reduced revenue and the dollar stayed the same, it looks like it's generating more money, and that was based on that executive order. We do have about $6.1 million in the current tentative budget that you're approving for scholarships, both McKay and Family Empowerment. However, we do anticipate that will increase. Then that number is basically what we paid last year. We do believe that will be increasing. The budget includes an $8.3 million decrease in class size funding. It is about $8,033 per FTE, and our base student allocation is $4,372.91, which is a $53.42 increase over last year's BSA. The FEFP is generated mainly from local funds at 57% and from state funds of 43%. Our general fund is made up of course, state, local, and federal dollars. Our local dollars at 57.34%, our state dollars at 42.13%, and federal at 0.54%. So where do the dollars go? Mainly, they go into instruction and direct support of our schools. That's at 69%. You can see that currently our contingency and reserves are at 9%. That's a little misleading during the tentative budget time period, because in that number, it also includes the dollars that we hold back for our carryover of our purchase orders from the previous year and of unused funds at the schools and things that have to carry over. And that's sitting in our reserves to account for that and cover that when they carry over. Our contingencies and reserves are really needed in the district in order to protect our financial position. Our contingency is set right at 3%. Right now, it's just a little bit more than 3% over new revenue. We have set in the back of the budget about $14.8 million for future reductions in needs. As I spoke to you before in one of our previous things, we are not sure that our FTE is going to come to the amount that the state has given us, so we want to make sure that we hold money in the back. Just in case it isn't, then we don't have to go back out to schools and make adjustments. We also have money set aside in case our schools need more throughout the year or we have more growth, we can account for that as well. And then some money set back when that school volunteer, when the voucher increases, as we do believe it will, we have money set aside in the back to cover that increase as well. Our food service program is currently budgeted at $63.2 million. That includes breakfast and lunch for every student in Lee County at no cost to the parents. We are participating again in the community eligibility program, and it's for all schools for FY22. And I would like to do a shout out to our food service workers. They have done an amazing job making sure that our students have been fed through this whole time. So they did an awesome job.
Thank you for that, Kelly.
So our special revenue is the federal dollars that come to us. Our big federal grants are our Title I and our IDEA grants. The budget is currently set at $52.1 million. This will continue to increase as the year goes on and we are awarded grants. So this is just the beginning part. As we see more and more come in, they'll come up. That amount does include some ESSER 1 dollars. Not all of our ESSER 1 dollars are in that yet for the carryover portion, and it does not yet include any of our ESSER 2 or ESSER 3. They will show up when they're actually awarded. We will be coming back to you all again to discuss further about our priorities for ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, but we wanted to do that as a separate so you could have time to have discussions on that. Our capital funds are set at $525.6 million. Our local property taxes and our sales tax are the main drivers of our capital funds. Our major focus, of course, is on safety and security upgrades for our schools, the maintenance and renovations of our existing ones, building and technology. Currently in the 5-year plan, and we discussed this with you all a couple of meetings back, we have a new elementary school, 2 new middle schools, a new high school, a pre-K to 8, 2 rebuilds, and 4 additions. I want to remind you how tight our capital budget is right now, and we do expect to see cost fluctuations, and so we talked about having to come back to you all and have further discussions on that. I do want to let you know that we have gone back to the capital committee. We have done some more adjustments, and right now at the 5 years, we're looking at about a 6.27% reserve, which we were trying to get right around 7% at that time. I also want to remind you that we did talk about with you all coming back and doing the go or no go during phase 2 of each of the projects. So we will be looking at each of those as they come forward and the cost for those. Our debt service is currently at $91.8 million. There are statutory debt requirements. So the statutory requirement is that we cannot exceed 75% of our capital millage to use for debt. Right now, we have a capacity of our statutory of 54.5%. So we are using 45.5% of our debt service amount. The recommended amount is at 50% of the capital millage rate, and based on that, we have a 31.7% capacity of use. We are at 68.3% of that right now. So currently, the budget that we are proposing to you supports 121 schools, over 96,000 students. It supports the initiatives of the state, supports our district's vision and mission, and it's centered on our students, their safety, the achievement, and Envision 2030. With that, we respectfully submit our budget in support of the students, employees of Lee County, and the citizens of Lee County. What we're hoping for tonight is for you all to adopt all of our proposed millage rates for the 21-22 tentative budget. adopt the tentative budget for 21-22, adopt all of the the resolutions related to the millage and the budget, and to adopt the final public hearing for September 8th of 2021.
You good? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public hearing. We will now recess the we'll recess this special school board meeting and open the public hearing to consider the adoption of the tentative proposed millage rates and the tentative budget for 2021-2022. Dr. Savage, please continue by stating your recommendations.
It'd be my privilege, Madam Chair. Recommendation 1, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed required local effort millage of 3.643 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $366,456,164. The required local effort millage includes basic required local effort of 3.642 and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.001. Recommendation 2, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed basic discretionary millage of 0.748 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $75,242,715. Recommendation 3, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed capital outlay millage of 1.500 with a proposed amount to be raised of $150,887,798. The total millage will equal 5.891 mils with a total amount to be raised of $592,586,677. The total millage rate to be levied is more than the rollback rate. It is an increase in the rollback rate of 3.12%. Recommendation 4, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the resolution determining revenues and millage levied and the resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Recommendation 5, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget for the 2021-2022 school year as follows. 1, the general operating in the amount of $987,903,227. Special revenue budget in the amount of $115,379,499. Number 3, the debt service budget in the amount of $91,788,385. Number 4, the capital outlay budget in the amount of $525,565,097. And the internal service budget in the amount of $155,547,953 for a total tentative budget of $1,878,184,161. Recommendation 6, I recommend that the Lee County School Board accept the 2021 certification of taxable value for Lee County Form DR 420S and authorize the superintendent to complete and execute the form. Recommendation 7, I recommend that the Lee County School Board schedule a public hearing on the final 2021-2022 millage levies and the final budget for the 2021-2022 school year for Wednesday, September 8th, 2021 at a specially scheduled board meeting to begin at 5:05 p.m. in the Lee County Public Education Center boardroom.
All right, thank you. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on these matters. The time allowed for the comments is 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone in the right section, my right, this side, that, or the left side that would like to speak? If there are, please have your cards ready.
I think there is one person that has signed up for the budget, another person for another issue that is not appropriate for this particular item.
It has to be on the proposed budget. Is there anyone that would like to speak regarding that? So, Ms. Jenner, if you would go please back to the...
Tara Jenner. Just a quick observation. I've worked with budgets for many, many years, but there are a lot of people that are becoming more and more interested in what's going on in our Lee County School District. And so this is not just a comment on the budget, but it's just a general thing. I would encourage all of you to consider to add in at least somewhere on the website an acronym and technical term definition location so that people that are coming in and learning the process don't have to spend an inordinate amount of time reviewing and trying to find out what these acronyms are, especially when many of them are school district specific, county specific, or organizational specific and not readily accessible. So that was my only observation and comment at this point in time, and I just thank you very much.
Thank you. And would you like to speak on this matter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Heather Boyle. So I just wanted to say I noticed in the first 5-year total of the capital appropriations, there was a lot going to the East Zone, so I just wanted to say good job on that. And then I was wondering if there's a breakdown available to the public via public request or just anything about a lot of the charges, or if the board has even been given breakdowns. I noticed that, for example, can I find my notes? Oh, there's almost $30 million budgeted to security over the next 5 years, $19 million in just the next 2 years. I'm assuming that there is probably specific needs for that. And I agree with Tara, if you could just give like a breakdown for the public so that more people could see the transparency.
Perfect, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Okay, I now close the public hearing and reconvene the special school board meeting of July 27th, 2021. The board will now consider each of the superintendent's recommendations. Dr. Savage, please restate your recommendations individually, allowing the board the opportunity to vote before moving to the next one. Dr. Savage?
Madam Chair, recommendation 1. I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed required local effort millage of 3.643 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $366,456,164. The required local effort millage includes basic required local effort of 3.642 mils and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.001.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to accept the first of the superintendent's recommendations.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. And a second, Ms. Gittens. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please record your vote. And Ms. Thomas, if you could please tell me, because I can't see it. Thank you.
Motion carries, Madam Chair, 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. So motion passes 7-0. Dr. Savage, recommendation 2, please.
Madam Chair, I recommend that for recommendation 2, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed basic discretionary millage of 0.748 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $75,242,715.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation to adopt the basic discretionary millage.
Thank you. And seconded by whom, please?
Second.
Ms. Gittens? Thank you.
That's my job today.
Moved by Ms. Morgan, seconded by Ms. Gittens. Any discussion, please?
I just have one thing. These requirements and all of that are things that we must do anyway, right? We really don't have that much leeway in changing these because it's a percentage of this and a percentage of that. Am I correct?
So the required local effort portion is absolutely required for you to levy in order to participate in the Florida Education Finance Program. The discretionary and the capital are at your discretion. However, especially where the capital is, we would have no capital dollars if you didn't do that, or very few. And the discretionary helps immensely. As you can see, it's $75 million to support our schools.
Okay, and I did hear you say that, we have a tight capital budget right now, so I would, and I spoke to you guys about this before, about our go and no-go. Is that something you're going to bring up at a later point?
I can, yes, I did put it in the, in my discussion on my thing, but we can definitely talk about it when we get there if you'd like.
Okay, my only thing is, I have no qualms about passing all of this, but with a tight budget, we really will need to have the ability to go back and use some discretion with the go or no-go process, and I just want to make sure that that's still on the table.
Yes, if you want to talk about that when we get to the capital millage.
Okay,
that would.
Fine, thank you.
So is there any other discussion on that? If not, could we please record your vote? Again, Ms. Thomas, if you'll let me know, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you so very much.
No, I
No,
didn't,
she wasn't able to.
no, mine,
Come up.
mine didn't come up.
Mine did.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Did it?
I vote
did
yes.
Did it show?
But it didn't come up.
Showed. I only have one that's not present. The rest of them are yays.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it didn't
vote.
come up.
Oh, yeah,
Ms. Fisher, I see your
okay.
yes.
got it.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Savage, recommendation number 3, please.
Madam Chair, I recommend for recommendation 3 that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed capital outlay millage of 1.500 with a proposed amount to be raised of $150,887,798. The total millage will equal 5.891 mils with a total amount to be raised of $592,586,677. The total millage rate to be levied is more than the rollback rate. It is an increase in the rollback rate of 3.12%.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Fisher?
I'll move that that we adopt the 2021-2022 tentative proposed capital outlay millage of 1.5.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Giovanelli. Any discussion?
So I'm sorry if I may.
Yes, please.
Inside of this capital outlay millage of 1.5, to address the issue that Ms. Gittens just brought up, during our capital briefing, we talked about all of the projects that were in the capital plan and the fact that we are in a scenario right now where we were kind of right at the tip in terms of the reserves that we want to keep within that capital plan over the 5 and 10-year period, and the fact that we're in a period of price escalation, and then of course want to re-examine any assumptions that we made inside of the 5 and 10-year capital plan that we built. So we determined at that time that for our new school projects, we would be using a go or no-go decision-making process, in that when we brought back each of those new school projects for phase 2, you all would examine that phase 2 number in terms of that budget versus the budget that we had originally projected within the capital plan, as well as any other assumptions, and then by your vote on that phase 2, be determining whether we would or would not move forward with a particular project at any given point. So that is, even though we have a capital plan here, which is our long-term plan. Of course, many factors may change that, and that is our opportunity to go back and revisit those things and make sure that however we choose to proceed, we're going in the direction that collectively you all choose to go at that time, given all the information that we have. So I was trying to address the question that Mrs. Gittens was just asking.
Thank you, Dr. Desmore. And yes, I do recall the meeting that we spoke about all of that. So thank you for reminding us all. Ms. Gittens.
And thank you for the explanation. One of the things, the notice for tax school capital outlay, and it has a list of construction and remodeling schools. And, I hate to harp on this, folks, but it does just say Veterans Park Academy remodel. It is a concern to me that it doesn't say Lambs or Old Lambs remodel. It gives the connotation that it's Veterans Park Super School. I just want to make that point that it does not reflect that. And then on the amended notice for tax and school capital outlay, and it says consider amended projects to be funded, purchase of 63 school buses, and new South Zone K through 8, and previously K elementary and NN. I know that that's the two that are in Lehigh and the new Lambs. I'm a little confused about what this means. Does this mean you're adding it or taking it away, or, and my other question is, are we saying, since it's on capital outlay, that these projects are going to be completely paid for through one fund or another, or mix?
So we have to advertise any intent that we may have for capital outlay purposes for the millage that we're asking you to levy tonight. So we have to list them, and if we don't list them and we want to use them, then we have to go back and do an amendment to that. So anything that we possibly may want to use the funding for, we put it on there so that we don't incur another cost of having to amend it again. So we try and cover all of our bases, put everything there, and then we look at the funding sources and determine the best source of funding for it.
That was very tactful, the possibly especially. Thank you, I'm done.
And again, thank you, because I think this was part of all that meeting that we had discussed prior to advertising. So thank you for reminding us again. Appreciate that. So at this time, seeing no further discussion, if we could please record your vote. And thank you. And Ms. Thomas, I'm relying on you.
Motion carries, Madam Chair, 6-1.
6-0, yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Dr. Savage, your recommendation, please, for number 4?
Yes, Madam Chair, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the resolution determining revenues and millages levied and the resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for the fiscal year 2021-2022.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Fisher.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation to adopt the resolution determining revenues and millages levied and the resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for the fiscal year 2021-22.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher, I may have a second?
Second.
You lost that one. Ms. Giovanelli, thank you so much. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please record your vote.
Coming up, there it is. Okay.
Ms. Thomas.
Motion carries, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
6-0.
Thank you. And I just want to say, we have been briefed on all of this, so if there's no conversation, it's because we have been briefed on this. I just wanted to put that out there. Dr. Savage,
Yes,
number 5, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget for the 2021-2022 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $987,903,227. Special revenue budget in the amount of $115,379,499. The debt service budget in the amount of $91,788,385. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $525,565,097. The internal service budget in the amount of $155,547,953 for a total tentative budget of $1,876,184,161.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the capital outlay budget as, the tentative budget and related resolutions adopting tentative budget for FY22.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. May I have a second? Ms. Morgan. Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Any discussion? No discussion? Please record your vote.
Motion carries, Madam Chair, 6-0.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Dr. Savage, recommendation number 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend that the Lee County School Board accept the 2021 certification of taxable value for the Lee County Form DR 420S and authorize the superintendent to complete and execute the form.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation that we accept the 2021 certification of taxable value for Lee County Form DR 420S and authorize the superintendent to complete and execute the form.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Vaughn. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please record your vote.
Motion carries, Madam Chair, 6-0.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Dr. Savage, last. Recommendation number 7, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, I recommend that the Lee County School Board schedule a public hearing on the final 2021-2022 millage levies and final budget for the 2021-2022 school year for Wednesday, September 8th, 2021, at a specially scheduled board meeting to begin at 5:05 p.m. in the Lee County Public Education Center boardroom.
Thank you. Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
We approve the scheduling the final budget public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. May I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Morgan? Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Moved by Ms. Gittens, seconded by Ms. Morgan. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please record your vote.
Motion carries, Madam Chair, 6-0.
Thank you so much. The next on the agenda are comments from the board members, the board attorney, and the superintendent. And I'm going to tell the ladies, thank you so very much. Appreciate this, you being here. Ms. Fisher?
Yes, thank you for this presentation. This is a lot of money, and we'll all do our due diligence to be sure that we spend it efficiently. Thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you. No, good budget. Thank you.
Ms. Patrica? Not present. Ms. Gittens?
Thank you for the presentation. I look forward to our go and no-go.
Ms. Vaughn?
No comments right now.
Thank you. And Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
Thank you. Mr. Pri Bruno? any comments?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Savage?
I also have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, having no other business to come, does someone else just say something?
I did, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Dr. Desamore.
That's okay. I just want to add one thing to comment for answer to the questions in public comment. Just wanted to say, in terms of this tentative budget document, the tentative budget book that's on the website, the back of the book does have a glossary in it, so you'll see some of the terms that are related to specifically to the budget and the definitions of what some of those things are. So it does have a glossary. And then for the breakdown of some of the items in capital, this particular meeting is a culmination of the things that we had discussed previously. There is also on the website the other briefings that we've had previously, and the capital briefing that we had previously does have in that backup a pretty extensive breakdown of the items that are in capital. You will not see as extensive a breakdown in the security portion for security reasons. So, you're not going to see specific locations and things like that, but a pretty extensive breakdown of the numbers inside of the capital plan is there as well. So I just wanted to share that information.
Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that very much. At this point, having no other business to come before this body and seeing no objections, this meeting is adjourned.